Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beanie. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Impeccable, as well as a size 5mm hook, but of course you can use whatever size hook or whatever size yarn you would like. But the first step is going to be to make a slip knot, and after you've made a slip knot, you're going to chain a chain that is long enough to stretch from your eyebrow to the top of your head. And this is going to be the height of your beanie, so if you want a slouchy beanie, then you can make it just a little bit longer. But if you want it to fit perfectly, then just make a chain that's long enough to touch from your eyebrow to the top of your head. And after you've made that chain, then you're going to go back on that chain with a half double crochet. And a half double crochet is yarn over through the stitch, then yarn over again and back through the stitch, yarn over through the last 3 loops left on your hook. And that's what the stitch looks like. It's close to a single crochet, but just a little bit extra because of those yarn overs. So yeah, yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through the last 2 loops. And the reason I chose to use this stitch is because a single crochet I thought was a little too tight, and a double crochet I thought was a little too loose, so I went with the half double crochet. And you're going to do that throughout the entire chain. So once you've completed your first row of half double crochet and you've reached the end, you're going to chain 1, then flip the project over and continue making half double crochets onto the next row. But you're not going to go through the stitch as you normally would. So the stitch, when you look at it from the top, it has this little V shape, and normally when you crochet on top of it, you go through both of the parts of the V shape and then you make your stitch. But we're actually not going to do that this time. For this project, we're going to only go through the back portion of the V portion of the stitch, like so. So then I'm just going to make my half double crochet just on that little back portion, and that's going to give us the rib effect, or the ribbing, I guess. So yeah, just go through the back portion of that little V and then make your stitch within that little portion of the stitch. So yeah, you just have to pay extra attention to make sure that you're not going through the entire stitch as you normally would, just that back portion of it. And yeah, just continue making half double crochets as you normally would, just instead of through the entire stitch, just through part of it. And that's really the entire pattern. That's all you have to do for the rest of the project. And little by little, you'll start to see the ribbing more and more. So just make sure that you always go into the very last stitch at the end of the row, and then chain 1, flip it over, and continue to your next row, doing the exact same thing, going into the back portion of the stitch only and creating your new row on top of it. And after only a couple of rows, then you'll be able to see the pattern and feel it. You could see and feel the ribbing and the concaving on either side, so that's pretty cool. You get to see the pattern right away. But yeah, that's really it for now. So you're just going to keep making rows and rows of half double crochet, making sure that you only go into the back portion of the stitch. And yeah, you're just going to make more and more rows until the project gets larger and larger. And you'll know when you're done making these rows and rows of double crochet when you can wrap the project around your head and it touches from end to end. That's when you know that you're done, because then your beanie will fit you. So yeah, just fold your project like so, and then if this portion of the project could fit around your head, then you're done. And then you can move on to the next step. But right here, at this point, I actually need to make some more rows because it doesn't fit me yet. So I'm just going to make a couple more rows, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Alrighty, so I'm just finishing up my very last stitch, and now I'm completely done with making rows and rows of half double crochet, going into only the back portion of the stitch. And this is what the project looks like, just one giant rectangle. And yeah, so I'm going to fold it up like this, and the next step is to attach the sides together. That way the beanie doesn't fall apart. And it's really easy to do. So all you have to do is line up the two ends, and then you're going to grab your hook and the yarn that's still attached to the yarn ball, and you're going to slip stitch the two sides together. That way they're nice and attached. And you're just going to continue doing that all the way down to the bottom. And if you're not really sure what I mean by slip stitching the two pieces together, basically what I'm doing is putting my hook through one side of the project and then through the other side, and then yarning over and then bringing it through both sides, then bringing it through the loop that's left on my hook. So yarn over, through, and then through. Through one, through two, yarn over, through both, and then through the last loop. So through one, through two, yarn over, through both, through the last loop. And I'm doing that all the way down to the bottom. So once I reach the bottom here, I'm just going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then bring the excess yarn through the last loop, give it a tug, and then I'm going to tuck it in once more just for extra security. Also give it a tug, and there you go. I have sealed the project. Now it's not going to unravel. And now I'm left with like some weird tube thing, but I'm going to seal one part of it to make it a beanie. So just choose whichever side you want to seal off. It doesn't really matter which side, so just pick the one on the right. And you're going to grab your hook and your yarn, and you're going to put your hook through one side of the project, and then you're going to bring the yarn all the way through. And then you're kind of going to weave the yarn all around the circular portion of the project. And this is how I do it. I'm not really sure how to explain how to do it. I just pretty much put my hook through one side of the project and then again through the opposite side. Wait, okay, let me try to explain it again. So I'm going to put it through, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so this is the inside of the project, right? So I stick my hook through the inside and then it's on the outside, but then I stick it through to the inside again. Does that make sense, or am I confusing you even more? I'm probably confusing you even more, so I'm just going to show you the entire unedited process so you can have a better idea of what I'm doing here. But yeah, just sticking my hook through, bringing the yarn through, and making sure that I go all around. Just doing the exact same thing. Making sure also that I'm keeping closest to the edge of the project. And yeah, so again, I'm not really sure how to explain it. Just weaving the yarn through all around this little circle area until I've gone full circle and reached the point where I started. And then after I've reached the point where I started, then I'm going to seal the top portion of the project. And I'll show you how I did that. It's actually pretty cool. Okay, so this is where I started. So I'm just going to make one last pull, and then I'm going to pull the string that I was working on plus the string that's still attached to the yarn ball, and voila! It is sealed! Haha! But not really, not completely. It closed up, but it's not like actually sealed. There's a little bit of a hole you can see there. And I don't want any cold air coming into my beanie, so I'm just going to make a couple slip stitches to attach everything together and really seal it up. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then seal up the project. Now it looks pretty weird, but it'll look better in a little bit. First, after you're done sealing the top, you're going to want to pull the project inside out. It just looks better this way. And then I like to fold up a piece of the bottom. That way it could really look like a beanie, and voila! You're done crocheting your very own beanie, and it looks so cute. But I like my beanies to have a little puff ball. Too bad I don't actually have any puff balls. at my disposal that I could just attach to this beanie, so I'm actually going to make my own. And if you want to make your own too, all you need is yarn and your hand and like scissors and your hook. But yeah. So in order to make a little puff ball out of yarn, you're going to grab some yarn and wrap it around your fingers as loosely as possible. You don't want it too tight. And after you've wrapped a bunch of yarn around your fingers, you're going to take it off your fingers as carefully as possible to make sure the loops are still intact. And then you're going to grab the rest of the yarn and make a knot in the middle, making sure that you do not undo any of the loops. So sorry I'm out of frame here, but yeah, just basically tied it in the middle, that way it doesn't fall apart. And after it was nice and tied in the middle, kind of looked like that. And the next step is to cut all the loops to unleash the poofiness, the craziness. Woohoo! Yeah, so that's half of how you make a poof. And the other half is to cut the other side. And once you've done that, then you have a full poof. Woo! Well, you kind of have to mess with it and like make it go crazy. And now it's a poof! Yay! And then after you've made your poof, you're going to attach your poof to your beanie. And what I did was I stuck my hook through the inside of the beanie and then grabbed the yarn that was attached to the poof and brought it through. And then I put my hook through the front part of the beanie into the inside to grab the yarn, and then I kind of like, it was difficult to attach it. I ended up just sewing the rest because it was a mess trying to work with all of that tan yarn. But yeah, once you've attached it, it looks really cute. And if you're wondering why my yarn bowl looks really like fuzzy and stuff, it's because I painstakingly unraveled all of the yarn. I just pulled it apart to make it nice and frizzy, so each little strand could be this cute little frizzy nest and turn into a little puff ball as opposed to a bunch of stringy yarn just everywhere. I think it's cuter like this, but again, it is painstaking and takes forever, but honestly I think it's worth it in the end. And after you're done with that, you are completely done with your beanie, and you can wear it to the snow or wherever it's cold. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy crochet videos in general, please check out the rest of my channel because I have a ton of free crochet tutorials. And yeah, thank you so much again. And before you go, please don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!